welcome. It has been 3 years since homosexuality was decriminalised in India, but public morality around same-sex relationships continues to be a thorny issue. But New Years are about new beginnings. And on the 29th of December in Nagpur, two women doctors, Paromita Mukherjee and Surbhi Mitra, got engaged. They vow to spend their lives together as a couple in a commitment ring ceremony. Before that, photos of a wedding ceremony featuring a beaming gay couple from Hyderabad had been going viral. The duo, Chakravarti and Abhay, took social media by storm by holding a real, honest-to-goodness, big, fat Indian wedding ceremony in Telangana. Chakravarti and Abhay Dange have been together since 2012 after meeting on a dating app. And amidst family and friends, they decided to have and hold each other forever and always. It was a full-blown affair with a sangeet, a mehendi, a ring ceremony, and they had some stunning pictures. India only recently, in 2018, 3 years ago, like I said, revoked the draconian law that made homosexuality illegal under Article 377. But the Constitution does not allow homosexual couples to marry. So the law says their marriage isn't valid, but this couple did it anyway. And joining us on Mythological tonight, we have one half of this couple. We have Supriyo Chakravarti. Thank you for joining us, Supriyo. How do you feel? I know that's a cliched question to ask, but I mean, how are you? Are you guys on your honeymoon per se? Is it a lockdown honeymoon? How are you guys?
So, Sarah, so we have been together, it's been 9 years, right? And so we are living together 9 years. So as you said, it's a cliche question. Everybody is asking this, but there is not much changes in our life. We are still, we are staying together, and the next day onwards, we started going to the office. We have started taking calls and everything. So there is not much change.
But if there's not much to change that has changed, Supriyo and Abhay, then why did you guys decide to do this, take this big step? Because like you said, nothing's really going to change in a sense that India doesn't recognize, will not legalize a wedding between two men or two women. Then why do you do it?
Well, I think that's a wonderful question. And why? I mean, when we say wedding, so my perception about wedding is a celebration, right? I mean, why we do wedding? Wedding is basically to celebrate with our own people and to let them know that we are together and we are happy together. Yes. And so it actually came during this April. I mean, we both were COVID positive. And, this one fine day, I was lying on the bed and I was just wondering that we are together, but still we don't have much rights on each other, right? Law will take time. Of course, it has a lot of things. It will take time. But why not to have a celebration? Why don't we call those people who actually loves us, the people who are happy for us? And suddenly we just planned for that, and then I was like, let's do a wedding. Let's call our people and let's celebrate, and let's everybody know that we are happy together. So that's how this whole thing came in our minds.
Okay, we are still in a time when a lot of people take offense and physically even have started disturbing venues, opposing whether it's interreligious marriages, Valentine's Day, and there's a kind of, a sense of fear that people will take offense so much so and come up and show up, disturb you. In that context, was there a concern? The family maybe, did you feel that this helps normalize this in a country like India? If we see more couples like you, we see more pictures like yours, then this makes this more acceptable.
Yes, it does. That's what I was understanding last couple of weeks when I'm looking at those feedback, looking at those comments, when people are being so positive. Because, Sarah, one thing I personally believe, when you're out of the closet, I'm not an activist, but I somehow am the representative, right? When people know that I'm from the community, some of the other way people are looking at me and trying to understand about the whole thing. So I always believe it's our responsibility to educate people. And when I see those pictures came and, so many shares, a lot of people are talking about it, and in a very positive note, and it always gives a lot of hope to us and definitely for the next generation.
Wow, sounds too good to be true almost. Did you not have any issues? You had a big fat Indian wedding, booking a hall, choreographer, booking a photographer. Did anybody express any kind of discomfort or anything?
Not really, but I learned a beautiful things during planning the wedding. It's like when I decided to plan a wedding, it's like suddenly I had to come out in front of so many people. That hey, suppose I'm booking a photographer, and I was like, okay, these are the things I want, and etc. etc. But at the end, I'm saying, hey, it's a gay wedding. Are you okay for it? But surprisingly, most of the people are very, very, very supportive. They're like super excited. A lot of people, they wanted to understand, okay, how this thing will happen. Is there any complications, etc., etc. But overall, it was very positive.
I'm so glad to hear that. But Abhay, Supriyo, lastly, can you explain, the kind of acceptance you felt, what you're saying you felt over the last few years, just after we saw, for example, we throw back to that Dabur Femme ad where those two women were a couple as protagonists. That had to be pulled down. Which is the real India, your story or their story?
So, see, Sarah, things takes time, right? When I look at the next generation, I think they are more open-minded. But one thing I strongly believe, which is we need to create awareness. When people will more talk about it, people will see, as you said, like normalizing thing, when people will get to see more pictures and more ads like this, I think the acceptance will come. Definitely, it's not going to happen overnight, but I have a lot of hope. When I look at the next generation, when I look at my students, when I look at my nephew, I see it's a new India. I think they are more receptive. They're more, they're more open-minded. So I think we are going to see a new India very, very soon.
All right, Priya, thank you and big congratulations. All the best to you and Abhay. Thank you for joining us on We the People. Well, Mr. Chakravarti and Dang's decision to get married in front of their friends and families is perhaps a sign of changing times. Or is it? I just want to go back, give you some background of as to what I was talking to Supriyo about that advertisement. We can just play that now. In October, the FMCG company Dabur India Limited was forced to roll back an advertisement celebrating lesbian love during Karwa Chauth. The ad, created for the beauty product Femme, a bleach cream, showed two women fasting for each other on the occasion of Karwa Chauth. Now, while many like me felt really this is a fairness ad, trying to package itself differently in a new bottle, old wine in a new bottle really, but Hindutva supporters claimed hurt sentiments. They demanded that the ad be withdrawn, which it was. At one point, the Madhya Pradesh Home Minister of the BJP, he was among those to warn the company of dire consequences if the ad was not removed. That's a quote. He threatened to sue the company because according to him, it hurt Hindu sentiments, and if not checked in future, they would even show two men taking feras even, which is what we saw Supriyo and Abhay actually do. And Dabur India succumbed to pressure. They not only withdrew the ad, they also apologized, quote, unconditionally for unintentionally hurting people's sentiments. Well, so are the times are changing? Are we going 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back? Well, joining us now are Paromita Mukherjee and Surbhi Mitra. Well, I'm not sure if Surbhi is joining us, but Paromita is. Paromita and Surbhi got engaged on the 29th of December on the outskirts of Nagpur, and they plan to marry soon. So Paromita, first and foremost, same question to you. Congratulations, big congratulations. And why did you decide to do this?
Thank you so much. Well, we decided to get engaged. Once again, I cannot use the word engagement because of the legal hassles. So we termed this as commitment ring ceremony. And then we were trying to start a life together. So why not? And every other couple, just like any heterosexual couple in this in India, obviously, they are here to live happily with their partners. Then why not us? So whenever we come up with a statement that we are going to live together, so the first thing, which is it's the engagement and then the marriage.
Love, then engagement, then marriage. But when you say marriage, what do you mean? Because you are expecting then the courts will deliver, and the courts are listening to the voices, to the stories of couples like you?
Yes, definitely. So once again, just because of the legal hassles, I cannot use the word wedding or marriage. So we are calling it as a civil union. Civil union as in like we are inviting our friends, our relatives, our families. It's a bonding between two families together. And it will be just like a big fat Indian wedding like any other heterosexual couple. And we initiated this because, okay, so first of all, it's just a firecracker. Like in Hindi, we call it as a sutli bomb. So we initiated this, and the media approached us. And after this, we are going to make it a very huge thing when we are going to get married together. Once again, not married, civil union.
So, you say you want to make this a huge thing. I'm guessing against you want to be public, you want to be no different from anyone else. But religious representatives continue to oppose same-sex marriages on the grounds of constitutional right to religious freedom. They say that this causes a greater deal of harm and upheaval when, it causes harm and upheaval. Would you, to our society, what would you say in response to people who say things like this?
Well, I guess Dr. Surbhi Mitra will answer that question more nicely.
Oh, all right. So we do have Surbhi joining us. Thanks to, we're glad to have you on, Surbhi, albeit a little late, but I don't know if you heard my question. I wanted to ask you if what you would say in response to those who say allowing marriages or unions, public unions of same-sex couples causes a great deal of harm and upheaval in society.
No, not at all. In fact, not letting them get legal causes a lot of upheaval in the society. Because as I have been talking in a lot of other interviews, what has been happening is that homosexuals are being almost threatened to get married to a heterosexual or maybe another homosexual, which is called a convenience marriage. Or maybe, just go for conversion therapies, after which they have a lot of mental health issues and they generally commit suicide. Like even a lot of my friends who are staying abroad but are from Indian origin, they are not being allowed by their parents to come back to India because they are like कि तुम यहाँ आके ये जिंदगी नहीं जी सकते, वहाँ जो करना है करो. But फिर भी शादी मत करो, public मत हो. And what happens in this is ultimately one homosexual life and the heterosexual that homosexual gets married to, both their lives are hampered, both their family lives are hampered, and ultimately out of that wedlock, if you have children, then even their lives are hampered. So ultimately it's a social issue. It's not an LGBTQIA community issue.
But and I want to ask for our viewers, for we'd like to be more informative on the show. What are the rights that are denied? That if you're fighting for this right legally, what is this right? What would be different if you can't be married?
What happens is that generally we talk about people are telling me what is the need to publicize it? Then why did you have to have a public ceremony? Why couldn't you just, be in the closet and apne 4-5 doston ko bula ke, ya okay, 200 good friends who wanted to attend. So apne social support ko bula ke wo kar lena chahiye tha. But then ultimately I wanted to tell that we did not go to the media. The media came to us, number one. Number two, it wasn't that we were trying to publicize anything. But I think, as earlier I was listening to Supriyo, he did say that, it is a issue in which we are also instrumental in educating the public. So what if we don't come out? If we don't publicize it or we don't do this, hum publicity apne liye thodi kar rahe hain. It's ultimately we want to do it for the other people belonging to the community who want to come out, who want to live happily with their partners. And what would be different in the legalized scenario is that at least we will be able to hold joint accounts in banks, we will be able to hold joint properties. This is generally, happens with other married people. Then we would be able to take each other's health decisions legally. We would be each other's nominees. All these legal rights are necessary. Sirf live-in mein rehne se nahi ho jata.
Correct. Okay. Now, I lastly want to ask, I've read that Shaadi.com, a popular mainstream matrimony site, is now planning to enter this LGBTQ matrimonial market. Would you say things are changing, or is it just marketable. I mean, you go where the money is. These are companies and they're thinking with their head, not with their heart, because Supriyo said that he faced absolutely no problems with venue, with cinematographer, florist, anybody. Everyone was very happy, which sounds different from, the stories you hear out on the street.
Like, honestly, we did not face any opposition at all. We got the event manager very easily. None of the resorts or the hotels in Nagpur said no. In fact, they were willing to host us. They were like, hame host karna hai, we want to witness something historical. Then we also got the florists. We also got the other decorations very easily. We got the DJ very easily, the music system everything, like catering, everything was very simple for us. So yeah, if actually this can happen with other couples, and if they can come out and do it openly. So I think there would be more and more support. Just as we did not face opposition, why would you? So this is just a word of encouragement from my side, that we didn't face anything, Supriyo and his partner didn't face anything, why would you?
All right. All right. Thank you so much. All the best. Thank you for sharing your story, coming and speaking publicly on this issue on We the People. I want to quickly go across to Devdutt Patnaik, a well-known mythologist, speaker, illustrator, author. Thank you so much, Devdutt Patnaik, for joining us on We the People. I don't know if you heard these stories of Surbhi and her partner and Abhay and Supriyo who got married or, well, who had commitment ceremonies. What were your reaction when you heard of this first?
I know many gay couples who are married. So there's nothing new about it. Nowadays people are making it public, but privately many gay couples are married. At least, spiritually they are connected, and socially their families have accepted them as a married couple. So it's a fairly common phenomena in the LGBTQ circles.
But why going public now?
Yeah, I think they're making a statement because I think legal, in India, you're technically married. In the old days, you could look at the sun and the moon and say, I'm married as a couple. That's how Shakuntala and Dushyant would have got married. But nowadays, we need a legal certificate without which you are not married. And I think that registration is necessary, and therefore more and more people are demanding it because it's a human right. And I think we have to respect human rights and therefore give gay people the chance to be husband and wife legally. Or husband and husband, wife and wife, or whatever term we want to use.
But, in the past, when the centre has raised objections to same-sex marriage in court, they have said it's basically because we have age-old customs, we have traditions, it's Indian culture, it's our practice. It's not our culture basically, but you're a mythologist, you've researched this extensively. In your book, at least the write-up of your book says that marriage is there's a fluidity in marriage. So which is it? Obviously you say the latter, but which is it?
No, it's just about, look at our lives, 100 years ago, Hindu men could have many wives. It was perfectly fine for a Hindu man to have many wives. 100 years ago, Indian women, not just Hindu women, could not own property. So laws change over time. Hindu women were not allowed to own property. The only women who were allowed to own property were the courtesans. For 1,000 years, they had access to property, but that right was taken away from them by the British. So laws change. There's nothing static about the law. Sri Ram is Ekam Patni Vrata. He has one wife. Sri Krishna is Ashtabharya. He has 8 wives. Sri Krishna belongs to Tretaya Yuga and Krishna belongs to Dwapara Yuga. So as the Yuga changes, the marriage laws change. There's nothing, I'm sure Centre has its own reason and experts, but everybody who understands Indian culture knows there's nothing static. Even Buddha said nothing is permanent in the world. How can culture then be permanent? Are we saying the Buddha is wrong?
Okay, but if the centre or the opposition to this legally is based on the scriptures, could you tell us what the scriptures actually say about homosexuality? What do the scriptures actually say about same-sex marriage?
Scripture in India is not like the commandment in the Bible or the Quran in Islam, where you have to keep referring to a book in order to conduct your day-to-day life. So that's an Islamic practice. That at one time it was a Christian practice, but you need the approval of the Pope, at least in the Catholic circles. This whole need of approval from an authority is a very Western idea. So first, let's clarify that this idea that I have to refer to the scripture in order to get married, that statement itself is a Western concept. It's not a Hindu Indian concept. So, so there is this dichotomy. At one level, we say we are a Hindu country. We should respect the majority of the Hindu, but the Hindu thing is very fluid. And it is lovely if you want to be Hindu, but then why suddenly you turn into this Western thing and want these scriptural approval? So I find it very strange. I'm sure they have experts who clearly have not read that Hindu scriptures are very fluid and they always support love over law.
So what would you then expect when these hearings come up? There are petitions, I think, coming up in February to legalize same-sex marriage. What would you expect as a citizen, as someone who has come out yourself? What do you expect from the courts, our courts, the law of the land?
The courts, I don't know, the courts can do whatever they want. Human beings have a right to give their property to whoever they wish to. Let's begin with the same premise. Every human being has a right to give their property to whoever they wish. Now the court has somehow decided that if a will is contested, they will value the family over non-family members, which means the court has given itself the power to decide who is family. Now if the court has given itself the power that who is family, so now you create new laws of defining family. So you have given yourself the law based on the constitution that you will decide what is family and what is not. So the gay people, the LGBTQ community saying, can we decide who is our family? Give us that, just give us that parchi, that certificate, that piece of paper that decides this gentleman or this woman is my family so that I can pass my property and various other legal things. It's a very simple thing, really, not very complicated, but clearly judges and lawyers need to make it very complicated. The scriptures, the Vedas are very simple, and they're very simple. They support people all the time. As far as lawyers, courts and governments, well, they don't understand human beings very well, do they?
Talking about understanding, I want to ask you, on one hand, in the past few months, we've seen these visuals of Supriyo, Surbhi, their ceremonies. On the other hand, you have the Dabur ad I just mentioned, those femme products about those two girls which had to be taken down. Which is the real picture or the real India according to you? Are there two Indias?
There are many Indias. There are many Indians. They all coexist. It's just that, advertisers create their own fantasies which they don't really believe in. That's why they pull them down. Everything doesn't have to be public. Everything doesn't have to be in your face. Life is not Bollywood. Life is not Karwa Chauth. Life is small things which happen on the roadside when people are dying, when you go to hospitals, when you have to take care of people. So an advertising by a capitalist firm doesn't make any difference. It's about the law and allowing simple human beings to share their lives together, which they are doing. Families support it, they live together. They are only seeking a small little document that allows them to transfer property and other legal things which are matter. That's all they're asking. Nothing dramatic, earth-shattering to the whole world will collapse if two men stay together or two women will stay together. So we are being very dramatic, very Karan Johar about it. But I think life is simple. It's about human beings living together happily, making love, making property, sharing love, sharing property. And I think God should support that in a decent human society. But, courts are courts. They will find legal reasons not to be decent.
Mr. Patnaik, thank you so much for your time, for your views. Thanks so much. Well, so more gay couples are getting married publicly. You have Shaadi.com, a popular mainstream matrimony site, planning to enter the LGBTQ matrimonial market. But where do we stand in terms of legal reforms? Let's go across to Ashwini Dubey. He's a lawyer in the Supreme Court. India is still far from legalizing same-sex unions. There are petitions that have been filed to seek legal recognition for those such marriages, extend rights to such couples. Where exactly do we stand? Mr. Dubey, just take us through why is it so hard constitutionally? Is it hard to make this a reality?
Thank you, Sarah. Sarah, the jurisprudence of any nation, be it by way of codified law or otherwise, evolves based on societal values, beliefs, cultural history, and other factors. There are two kinds of law. One is the codified law and there are personal laws. The Supreme Court ruling, the famous ruling, 5 judges bench in Navtesh Singh Jehar case, granted same-sex couples the freedom to lead a dignified private life.
Yes.
The right to companionship, so long as such companionship is consensual, free from vice of deceit, force, coercion, and does not result in the violation of fundamental rights. Now the legislature, on its wisdom, has framed them. Now, constitutionally, if we talk in this way, Sarah, not making a law means that you have to make law so far as the divorce is concerned, so far as the inheritance is concerned, so far as the succession is concerned. No doubt, the 5 judges bench, Navtesh Singh Johar case has given personal pride domain of individuals and said that it is right to privacy, and right to privacy of 2 individuals live in a dignified manner cannot be denied. But here, we live in a country where 2 laws exist. So both laws has to be changed. Either the Hindu laws are codified and personal laws are not codified. So that we have to look into, because India is a diverse country, Sarah. Over to you.
Okay. And in court, the government had, the lawyers speaking against this had said that judicial interference would cause complete havoc with the delicate balance of personal laws. And quickly, if you could just explain what they meant by that.
See, there are 2 aspects. One aspect, the Delhi High Court, which is hearing that whether the same-sex marriages can be legalized or not. In that, the government of India has said that whether legal sanction can be accorded to same-sex marriages was not an issue which was decided by way of judicial adjudication, because the legislature frames law by keeping in view the society, keeping in view the various aspects, the aspects which are in this country prevalent for thousands of years, prevalent for hundreds of years, as Mr. Devdutt Patnaik said. So it will take time, but the courts as well as the people are changing. It may change, but only thing that it is not only allowing marriages, and there are certain other factors which are evolved and which are related with allowing same-sex marriages, Sarah.
All right. Unfortunately, we're completely out of time, but we're going to keep this conversation going on this issue. These petitions are coming up in court. We'll continue to bring you the stories of those who are behind these petitions, and give them a place to air their voices too. Thank you for joining us on We the People.